Good afternoon. Welcome to Ntv at One. My name is Malcolm Sime. Let us have a look at the headlines. Rethinking the decision, Minister Sam Kutesa says Europe could resume giving aid to Uganda. And happening now at the U.S. Africa Summit, U.S. businesses announced plan to invest $14 billion in Africa. Also coming up, Ebola specialists have called for experimental drugs and vaccines to be offered to people in West Africa. This is Ntv at One. The Foreign Affairs Minister and also the President of the United Nations General Assembly, Sam Kutesa, has told MPs that some European countries are reconsidering their decision on aid to Uganda. Kutesa was appearing before the Parliamentary Committee of Foreign Affairs to answer queries on the ministerial policy statement of 2014 and 2015 rather.
The Europeans, after our explanation to them, and the Swedes, European Union, they have agreed that they are going to be engaged. So I think we are in the right course if we continue to engage them and explain to them. But obviously the reaction was so great in these other Western capitals. You should have seen me being attacked. And in the UN they were calling me the Ugandan homophobic minister.
And still on the anti-homosexuality backlash, the number of MPs who have signed a petition that supports the anti-homosexuality law annulled by the Constitutional Court last week has grown to 137. The court declared the law null and void, basing on Parliament passing it without the requisite quorum. But the MPs urge that they want a revote on the bill and will turn up in huge numbers to pass the bill if it returns to Parliament. Moving on, the MPs started signing a book that was purposely opened to show their support for the anti-homosexuality law yesterday. They also stressed that the Constitutional Court's decision to nullify the law will not deter them from their initial position. Some MPs even pledged to use their caucuses to back the bill when it comes up for discussion on the floor of Parliament. Other MPs urged that the Act still stands and is still law in principle, given the fact that the court only tackled the matter of quorum. The MP for Kawempe North, Latif Sebagala, who has championed this cause, says he wants MPs to back the move so that the bill is brought back to Parliament to be passed rightfully. The lawmakers are targeting 3/4 of Parliament to have signed this book by Friday. Now, if you are a female smoker who's breastfeeding, do you know that what your baby is being fed on? Health experts say that your milk could be poisonous to your child since the tobacco you take contains over 4,000 carcinogens, half of which cause cancer. The Ministry of Health is now worried over the fact that tobacco uptake is increasing amongst women, especially those in their reproductive years.
It has been proven scientifically that breast milk is good. WHO, UNICEF and other organizations encourage it, especially in the first 1,000 days of a child's life.
The first 1 hour from birth you initiate and you continue breastfeeding without any other additions of what they call prelactal feed, whether water or juices or any concoctions, until 6 months.
However, fears are growing for women who smoke before, during and after pregnancy.
In terms of breast milk production, this process of breast milk production starts right from when the mother is pregnant, where we are telling the mother, have at least an extra meal or two in order for you to meet your requirements and those of the fetus, but also to help the process of milk production.
Yes, there's a possibility of the milk not only having nicotine, but a lot of chemicals that tobacco comes with. Tobacco comes with more than 4,000 chemicals, and we would know very well that 2,000 of those are carcinogenic. Carcinogenic meaning they actually cause cancers, a lot of ill health. So it's not only nicotine. All these carcinogenic chemicals actually will possibly come into the baby's milk, and the baby could actually you find the baby is diabetic very early. You find the baby has cancer very early. You might not know where it came from, but could have come from the mother using tobacco.
The baby of such a mother would not be initiated well on breast milk within the recommended time, especially the first hour and 6 months.
Or if she has initiated, such a mother is the kind who is going to introduce other feeds other than breast milk before their baby is 6 months of age.
A nutritionist, Brenda Shenute, says tobacco affects the woman's feeding, which is vital for milk production.
There is a tendency for tobacco, first of all, to suppress appetite in the mother. So the mother will not be taking in adequately the way they are supposed to be taking in.
The effects are also felt by low birth weight of the baby, the development of the fetus in the womb, and even death. Florence Salimba, Ntv At One.
Thank you, Florence. Now, one of the ways in which women can be empowered is by offering them education. In Uganda, we're still registering high dropout rates among the girls. Now, the United Nations Women under a project called the WASH program have built 8 pit latrines and hand washing facilities to encourage girls to stay in school. We'll give you the story.
One of the major inconveniences that adults and girls face while in schools is the lack of sanitary towels during their monthly period. This has been the cause of many dropping out of school. This can also be worsened by lack of privacy, as both males and females could be using the same toilets. In Masaka district, only 18% of girls out of the 90% enrolled in primary 1 every year complete primary school. Masaka District Community Development Officer Lilian Musisi says many drop out due to shortage of water.
The girls even have liked it more than boys.
In a campaign to empower the girl child and keep them in school, the UN Women have built several pit latrines and water facilities to help girls enjoy school.
And we're today here at this school, primary school, where we're looking at some of the activities that we have undertaken to support the girls to come to school and stay in school. And one of them is the water and sanitation program, which allows girls to understand all the issues related to hygiene, but also provide separate facilities for boys and girls.
This is all under a project called the WASH program, started by the UN.
We had a lot of debates.
A staggering $14 billion in proposed investments from American firms has been announced on the sidelines of the ongoing US-Africa Business Forum. Among other things being discussed is a financing stream will be directed at joint venture projects in Africa, covering the areas of infrastructure, energy, agriculture, and value addition. The ongoing summit, called by the US President Barack Obama, has seen dozens of African leaders in attendance, accompanied by high-profile business players.
The U.S.-Africa commercial partnership is essential, and the time to do business in Africa is no longer 5 years away. The time to do business there is now. Today, on both sides of the Atlantic, there is a clear mutual desire to deepen our ties of trade and investment.
And if we continue to grow, even like this, the projection is that in the next, 36 years, which is 2050, to 5.5%, Africa will end up having about $15 trillion GDP. So, it's going to be a great story. We're growing very, very rapidly. And
a case in point is Atlas Mara, which my partner Bob Diamond and I set up a few months ago to buy banks in Africa. We raised $1 billion within 6-7 months, and majority of our capital came from the US, and majority of that capital had never invested in Africa before. So the appetite is absolutely there.
More trade, more investment, better ties. It is generally known that Africa is going to grow as it has for somewhere between 5 and 7% as a continent. 6 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa. That may go to 7 in this coming decade. The middle class is growing. But in spite of the $80 billion in foreign investment and the $400 billion in exports we'll see this year, 3/4 of those exports are still in oil and gas, metals, and diamonds.
The US-Africa Summit, Bill Clinton speaking out there. We're now going to take these short messages. We'll come back with more stories that are making headlines this afternoon.
Use White Star Laundry Bar Soap with a lemon fragrance and you'll have a fresh, clean day. Be like a star. Use White Star.
Don't disturb Daddy. My daddy is a star.
White Star Laundry Bar Soap. All day fresh clean.
We all have those beautiful, unforgettable moments that are the highlights of our lives. With life's uncertainties, all these beautiful memories could become painful reminders of what was and what could have been. Fortunately for us, we have made one smart choice. We chose to secure what we hold dear. We chose to insure with the insurance company of East Africa, ICEA, standing by you.
On the next episode, brought to you by...
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
On the next episode of Destiny River.
No male descendant born of the first Antonia survived the curse. Not one, Solano. Not even your father. Why do you think you'll be the first to avert the curse?
I am protected, Manuela. I told you already.
Orphanage. Why's that, Max? Are you planning on opening one?
Me? Open an orphanage, me? I want to close down an orphanage.
Destiny River.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Welcome back. This is Ntv At One. Now, it's not easy for someone to let go of a job for a rather less respected one, but when the need to survive beats the love of profession, the respect is sometimes thrown aside. We bring you a story of a 32-year-old man who decided to leave his teaching job and become a taxi tout, all in the name of making ends meet.
Hassan Tamale is a 32-year-old taxi tout who plies his trade along the Salama-Munyenye road. He took on this job for the sole reason of earning a living. Hassan is a trained teacher with a diploma in secondary education from Chambogo University. 3 months after his graduation, Hassan landed himself a teaching job at a government secondary school in Mukono. He has vivid memories of the 3 years he spent as a history and geography teacher.
First of all, it was a village, and you know village life. Even the salary are not appeasing at all. You have to feed like a student, and you know that time. Posho, beans, not even flight. You go like 150, and when try to budget for that 150 actually per month, totally get nothing.
Hassan has a daughter he sired while at university. The difficulties he experienced when his daughter fell sick sometime are still ingrained in him.
The situation is very bad. You see, we cannot afford that. So I was so disappointed.
It is such frustration that made Hassan quit his job. He implemented the words of a famous Irish playwright, Bernard Shaw, that regarded people who get on in this world are those who get up and look for circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, make them.
I got a contract in Sudan, and I went there. So after getting that little man, I compared it with this one. I said, no, to hell with the teaching.
But Hassan's luck soon ran out. His contract was cancelled after he spent a month away from work attending to his wife who had met with an accident. He bought this passenger service vehicle from the savings he had accumulated from Sudan. This taxi is now his main source of income. He hired a driver and chose to work as a tout to ensure that the money he collected was well accounted for. Hassan is a father who lives in Salama with his wife and child. When his wife looks back at the days Hassan was a teacher, she is grateful he left teaching.
The situation wasn't good because the salary comes at the end of a month, and for me, I was just at home, no job.
There are times Hassan regrets quitting his teaching job.
I used to be called sir, all the time, sir. You could even see big men, big women calling you master. But here you receive a lot of abuses. It is not a good job. But I told you, I'm there only one thing, just money.
He still loves his profession and wouldn't mind returning to teaching if the conditions got better.
I like teaching. I told you from my childhood. Yeah, because I like organizing other people.
We set out to Namasumbi Senior Secondary School in Mukono, where Hassan taught for 3 years. Hassan was given a warm welcome by the students the moment we set foot at the school premises. The excited students spoke fondly of him.
We used to play games with him.
I just joined this school in Form 5, but I just hear about him that he was a sociable person to all students.
The decision to leave teaching did not come easy for Tamale. It is apparent that when we came here at the school, he is still such an adored teacher, and he sometimes regrets why he left, but still he says he had to earn a living, and that could only happen if he had left this profession. Hassan's popularity is not just with the students, but the teachers as well.
He was a peer in geography department, so when he told us he was leaving, in fact, I felt unconscious about his going away, because he was a man who was not unrepressive actually.
Once a teacher, always a teacher, so the saying goes. And that's true of Hassan, who still feels part of the school. It can even be seen in the way he interacts with the students. Back to his workstation at the old park, Hassan's colleagues say he indeed made the right decision to join their club. The teacher in Hassan still hopes someday he will practice his passion of imparting knowledge. Gertrude Tumusime with Kwade, NTV.
Top talents continue to leave salaried jobs in 2014, and what it takes to retain them is the answer that we are yet to get. Now, 3 of the world's leading Ebola specialists have called for experimental drugs and vaccines to be offered to people affected by Ebola in West Africa, where a vast outbreak of the deadly disease is raging in 3 countries.
Recently, American aid workers who contracted the disease in Liberia were given an unapproved medicine before being evacuated back to the United States. Now, the specialists, including Peter Piot, who co-discovered Ebola in 1976, said Africans affected by the same outbreak should get the same chance. Piot, David Heyman and Jeremy Farrar, all influential infectious disease professors and respectively directors of the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, the Chatham House Centre on Global Health Security and the Wellcome Trust, said there were several antiviral drugs, monoclonal antibodies and vaccines under study for possible use against Ebola. In a joint statement, the specialists say African governments should be allowed to make informed decisions about whether or not to use these products, for example, to protect and treat healthcare workers who run especially high risks of infection. They add that the World Health Organization, the only body with the necessary international authority to allow such experimental treatments, must take on this greater leadership role. And elsewhere, a temporary ceasefire in the Gaza Strip has entered its second day as residents assess the damage after nearly a month of fighting between Israel and Palestinian armed groups and negotiators arrive in Cairo for talks on a lasting truce. The 72-hour ceasefire, which came into effect yesterday and carried past midnight today, has brought tentative relief to millions on both sides after violence that killed 1,875 Palestinians and 67 people in Israel. Palestine's Foreign Minister Riyad al-Malik said he expected the ceasefire to expand into another 72 hours and beyond. Israeli and Palestinian delegations are now set for what are expected to be tough talks aimed at securing a permanent ceasefire after the three-day window closes.
On to sport now. Bayern Munich is set to sign Pepe Reina from Liverpool on a permanent basis. And on to Formula One, boss Benny Eccleston will pay $100 million to end the bribery trial before court in Germany. This is more in our international sports news wrap.
Bayern Munich have agreed a deal to sign Liverpool goalkeeper Pepe Reina. The German champions have revealed Reina will have a medical after they agree a fee with the Reds and personal terms with the 31-year-old Spain international. Reina had fallen out of favour at Anfield under Brendan Rodgers and spent last season on loan at Napoli. He joined a Marseille side club in 2005 and made 394 appearances. He was the club's undisputed #1 for 8 seasons and played in the 2007 Champions League final. Reina had been linked with a permanent move to Napoli, coached by former Liverpool boss Rafael Benitez, but the Italian club refused to meet Liverpool's $3.95 million release clause. In Formula One, a German court has agreed to end a bribery trial with F1 boss Bernie Eccleston in exchange for $100 million payment from him. Mr. Eccleston's offer was based on an existing provision in the German law. He went on trial in April accused of paying a German banker $44 million to ensure that a German company favored could buy a stake in Formula One. In golf, Tiger Woods has until 10 minutes before Thursday's tee-off time at the US PGA to declare himself fit to play following a back injury. The four-time US PGA winner requested an extension to the deadline for registration, which is usually 5 p.m. on the eve of the tournament, and it was granted. Scott Colin Montgomery says Woods will suffer if he plays in Valhalla.
That's it for sports, and we are going now to take you to Studio B, where you'll be able to listen to the experts, David Romansi, Aaron, Darren and Dennis, to take you through the fixtures, the updates and the transfer news, especially from the Premier League, and all the local sport that you need. Enjoy your afternoon. You can follow NTV on Facebook and on Twitter.